Hello everyone, thank you for having me at Laser Talks. This is awesome. Yay! My name is Saakyan. I'm a science communicator. I host and produce science comedy shows, future festivals, fireside chats. I'm really passionate about bridging the gap between science and the public and getting people more inspired to care more about the future that we're building. So I have this talk that I like giving around 3 subjects, and it's where did we come from, who are we, and where are we going? And I'm just going to jump right into it because there's a lot of content and it's going to be a lot of different things, and I'm ready to surprise you. So let's just go right into it. Part 1, where did we come from? So this is a very succinct way to explain that this is the Big Bang and this is where we are now. So we have about Milky Way formed. This is about 13.7 billion years have went by since existence, and the Sun and Earth only formed about 4.5 billion years ago, and we are here right now, but are we alone? And so this is kind of the formation of stars and galaxies, the formations of planets and stars, and then this is where we are now. This is probably one of my favorite pictures to get a better understanding of the cosmos with, and it's because it's what's known as a multiple star system. So we have a single star system, and it's really cool. Single stars are great, but there are actually things called binary stars, which are 2 star systems, and multiple star systems, which are 3, 4, 5 star systems. And most of them are 3 star systems, but these are just really cool to just visualize and think about, because it's what would it be like living on a planet that had 2 stars or 3 stars? And this is a pretty cool statistic. 1/3 of all stars in our Milky Way galaxy are either binary or multiple star systems. So only 2/3 are just single stars. This is another one of my favorite ways to visualize the cosmos. So you guys all know the habitable zone. The habitable zone is the area that's not too hot, not too cold. It's just perfect. It's like the Goldilocks zone right in the middle that enables a planet to foster life from its host star. And so this is what is known as a tidally locked planet. So this planet is so close to its host star that it's locked. And that way, you have one side that's just ridiculously hot, and the other side is ridiculously cold. And this is what's crazy.
It doesn't rotate.
It doesn't rotate. A habitable zone has formed on this crazy line right in between the super hot and super cold. And so life could have possibly evolved on just one small strip of a planet like that. So I find this to be a really great way to expand my mind. This is going to be a lot of content. I'm trying to get through this fast, but this is a way that we believe that bacteria took in sunlight for energy and turned water and carbon dioxide into glucose to power itself, and as a byproduct released oxygen, and that fueled more life. This is around the time of the Cambrian explosion. I really like to illustrate this is a trilobite, and it's one of those like ocean floor sweeping creatures like this, and it's chilling on the floor and then jumps onto its prey. It's it's very flat on its bottom. This one is very interesting too. I don't know if it actually leaves that hole or not, so I'm thinking could this guy potentially just every day just pop his head out? And that's it. That's it for movement, just up and down. Okay, it's safe. Let me go try and find some food quick. So I'm just thinking humans take BART and fly in airplanes and stuff, and we have these creatures, that's their nervous system. It's just the eyeballs and food and sleep and stuff like that. So this was Cambrian explosion about 500 million years ago. And then the reason why we actually got on land, a lot of it was due to the evolution of the egg, because now we had animals from the ocean coming onto land and laying eggs. Eggs have all of the nutrients necessary for a baby to slowly feed itself and get enough energy from the nutrients inside of the egg to then burst out of the egg and become an actual land animal. And so then we experienced this massive explosion of life as we know, about 65 million years ago, we had all these incredible dinosaurs. I also like to act these out, like it'd be so cool to be a pterodactyl, like massive pterodactyl flying over the skies. And Triceratops is really cool too, like fighting a velociraptor or whatever with its horns and stuff. Just like really immersing my mind into what it would be like to live in the nervous system of these animals. In their mind would be, it definitely accelerates my wisdom for understanding where we came from. So then you guys know we experienced a massive extinction of those dinosaurs about 65 million years ago, and this asteroid was about the size of, it's actually larger than Mount Everest is what we believe the size of it was. Some of the further sorts of like understandings of why we're here is because the dinosaurs got wiped out. Humans would have never evolved if it wasn't for the dinosaurs being wiped out. They would still be the ones that control the Earth. So this is Lucy. Lucy is an evolution of the monkey that was about 2 million years ago or so, and then this is a Neanderthal, and a Neanderthal is about 150,000, 200,000 years ago as well. And most of them got wiped out about 50,000 years ago, but you can kind of see the evolutionary trajectory here. And so, look, it's our brother. So, okay, part 2. Who are we? Who likes the little family emoji? All right. So who are we? So what did we do once we evolved from monkeys? Well, one of the first things that we did is we used stones as tools. And so we were able to do things like turn them into weapons or help us slowly like chip away at wood and make homes with it. Use them as pottery for things like bowls and things to carry water and stuff like that. And then discovering fire, a lot of people think like, did we invent fire? Well, we don't quite know. It could have been just, lightning struck and we were like, oh my gosh, like, can we figure out how to like control that? And so then being able to control it over time and cook food over it, use it for shelter, use it for warmth, use it for building more civilization. So this is another one of a really interesting photo that I like to act out because this is an important way to understand language. And actually, evolutionary scientists say that language is one of the least understood developments of human evolution. Because there's no way for us to really understand how it came to be. But one of the ways that I like to sort of get excited about language is to think about how did these people communicate back then? Okay, so all right, so this person's trying to assemble this, what looks like maybe part of like a little teepee or maybe part of the fire, we don't know, maybe part of the house. But so maybe this guy knows how to assemble it better, and so he walks over and goes like, and just shows through like grunts and stuff like that how to do it, and then shows that it's stronger, and then maybe over time they start using things like and so they're trying to say stick maybe, or the beginnings of the word stick. Maybe that is the way that language evolved, is the slow collaboration of using language as a tool for us to get to know how to label things and accelerate civilization. So we leveraged art to be able to tell better stories. So this is from a cave, I think 20,000 years ago, I believe in France, and in France. But this is a horse, I believe, and or a horse and a bull maybe. But it's beautiful art. I think it's really crazy to think that like 20,000 years ago humans somehow figured out how to make these beautiful illustrations on walls and tell stories through that. This is definitely one of my favorite pictures about who are we. This is kind of like the epitome of like the start of civilization. We talked about fire, we talked about the social cues, we have these stone tools that are now being used to carry water. We have a stone tool here being used to hunt. We have now domesticated animals. And the probably most important of all is we've now planted food next to our homes. And because we have now leveraged wheat and been able to grow next to our homes, now we have the advancement of civilization that can kind of like stay near these homes, and like we don't have to go out and hunt as much, and that this makes it easier for us to feed and grow our population. This is one of the next largest advents in human history, is the wheel. This was actually completely made of wood. And this is like 5,000 years ago. It's completely made of wood, which is crazy to think of, because how the hell did you even come up with a piece of wood that big? And how did we figure that out? And then we were just like, okay, put this, put something through the middle of it, and then put stuff in the back and roll it along. And so these were crucial in, and we'll get to that in the next slide here. Does anyone know what this is called? Just shout it out.
The Silk Road.
Yeah, the
Silk Road.
Silk Road, Silk Route. So this is what, about 2,000 years ago, this is about, well, this is probably the most important trade route that was ever established and used in the world. And what you, blue lines are sea lines, so those are ocean lines, and then the red lines are land lines. I was doing some research. I was trying to figure out how long it would take to walk from Java to Europe. It'd take about 6 months to walk. And so because of the wheel and because of a horse that can average a speed of maybe about 3 times the speed of like a human walking, you can get from Java to Europe in maybe around 2 months. So it makes it pretty grateful for planes, right? So this was massive. China was trading silk, horses were being traded and brought around in different places. It was a massive advancement for civilization. Also, this was a really important way for us to progress politically and culturally, because people from Java were able to meet people from Europe, Persia was able to meet Somalia, Egypt, China, and this was a great first starting point to cultural development in geopolitics. Back then they didn't call it geopolitics. All right. This is money. Money's a really massive advancement. Rather than just bartering for things, we now are able to use things like coins, and I really love these coins. I was just thinking about it myself, like tigers and turtles and dolphins and like bulls, and I was just thinking, like, we have like dead presidents on our coins, but they've done a lot. But I think these are really great ways to express nature, and this was massive for being able to trade. It was just funny thinking about trying to go with, this is a coin from Turkey, and then this is from Greece. And so what I thought was really interesting is, like, what if the Greek coin went to Turkey and was like, hey, can I pay with my coins? And they're like, no, we don't accept your coins here. So it's just really nice that we now are able to use currency across the world in a more friendly way. All right, another major advent to the human civilization. So we've jumped quite a bit. We've jumped maybe like 1,000 years now, from about 500, so 1,500 years ago to about 500 years ago. This is the advent of the printing press. So this is a really, Gutenberg, German, made it. The way it works is that you take this massive sheet, put it in here, close the top, there's holes in the top. Then that goes and lays flat on all of these assembled letters that have ink on them. You put them under the printing press, you close it, you push on this really hard on this lever, it pushes down on it, you pull it up, and voila, you have a printed sheet. And you can do that so much faster. Look at how fast you can do that. And print Bibles. The religion spread like crazy because of this. And so that was about 500 years ago. And then we move on to the advent of the telescope. One of the reasons why I really quick story about this is that it's crazy thinking about how religion was so focused on the Earth being the center of the universe that when Galileo and Bruno and Copernicus said that it's absolutely not, that then Bruno got burned at the stake. Galileo was incarcerated for his last 10 years under house arrest, and they were just trying to explain that the Earth is not the center of the universe, and that the sun is the center of our solar system. And this is a microscope, one of the first microscopes. So Thomas Edison invents electricity. He had a partner that he worked with as well. And Tesla was obviously a major contributor to this as well. to electricity. We go on to the Ford Model T, an incredible invention for transportation. Actually, Henry Ford sold 15 million Model Ts in 20 years. Crazy. And you guys all know his quote that if you would have asked people what they want, they would have said faster horses. So penicillin, a major advancement in antibiotics, being able to fight bacterial infections, crucial. This was around, Henry Ford was around 1910, this is around 1940 now. Does anyone know what this is a map of?
Facebook connections.
That's fine, it's close. This is a map of commercial flights. So you can now take a commercial flight and look at how many lines there are. It's just crazy. There's 55,000 commercial flight patterns. That was in 2010, so it's probably more now. It's just crazy. This, 50 years ago was just the start of like being able to travel anywhere just like that. Remember, it used to take 6 months by walking or 2 months by horse, and now it's a 10-hour flight. It's incredible. And this is Earthrise. This is the Apollo 8 mission. So we went and this was the first time that we had seen the Earth from a view that was not on the Earth, and this was a really great perspective shifter for us. I incorporated this picture because I think it's really important to talk about the ubiquity in food. Now we have, a Chick-fil-A, super easy to go get food. Right next to it is another food station, Taco Cabana, so you can just go get food, whichever choice you want. And then furthermore, there's about 1 million chickens killed per hour in the US alone. And I thought another interesting point was all of the cell phones and this iPad and stuff. A lot of people are now using technology to either talk on social media or go across the world or whatever. Could there be a better experience for people here? So quick part 3, where are we going? This is clean meat. This is Memphis Meats. This is biotechnology. So this is being able to grow beef from a stem cell of a cow. And Richard Branson and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Cargill, all these companies are now investing into clean meat rather than slaughtering those animals. This is a glass brain. This is actually development of Adam Gazzelli over at UCSF, super close by. The idea is to be able to map the neural architecture of the brain and be able to maybe understand how to prescribe a video game to somebody to help with their ADHD rather than a pharmaceutical. Also maybe understand the underlying principles of consciousness at some point. This is IBM Watson. This is 2011, just kicked the butts of humans at jeopardy, and then furthermore is now being used for analyzing new medical research papers, tons of other advancements. This is an autonomous vehicle. I like to just briefly describe like just the environmental analysis here. It's got all these cameras and sensors that better understand its environment. And furthermore, this is kind of how it perceives its environment. It'll see like, okay, there's cars here, there's pedestrians here, etc. This is one of the biggest challenges, in my opinion, too, is to be able to read the traffic light and understand the traffic rules that it's in, and then be able to make a directional turn or give someone the right of way, etc. That's all really difficult to compute and understand. This is a Bitcoin mining farm in China. It's crazy. China now has over 50% of all of the total Bitcoin mining systems there, and it's a cryptocurrency that is currently exploding all over the web. As you guys know, blockchain is a digital ledger, an immutable ledger, so no one can go back and change it. It's a really interesting thing. It's distributed across computers rather than centralized. This is a really good way to understand it. This is centralized power in one location. This is distributed power. This is like how Google or how Facebook or how the government works, and this is how if everyone had a computer and was talking to one another with good behavior incentivization, it could work. This is some space advancements. This is a James Webb Space Telescope. This is going to be launched in spring of 2019. This has a 21-foot mirror on it. The current Hubble Space Telescope only has an 8-foot mirror on it. This is going to enable us to look much deeper into space and understand how planets and stars were formed. It's also going to enable us to analyze the composition of atmospheres of exoplanets for life. This is Elon Musk's sort of architecture for Mars. So this is us landing on Mars, hopefully in about 10, 15 years, and by this society will probably develop it closer to 50 or whatever. But it's an incredible idea to expand the light of consciousness to another orbiting rock around a star. That way it can't just get extinguished by an asteroid like we saw happen with the dinosaurs. Furthermore, just a little bit futurism, this is a Dyson sphere. It's an array of satellites around a star. And what's really cool about that is if you harvest the power of the star, you can power your civilization through it. This is the Kardashev scale. So a civilization that's only harnessing the power of its own Earth is about a 1 on the scale. If you harness the power of your star, you're a 2 on the scale. If you harness the power of all the stars in your galaxy, you're about a 3 on the scale. And the Earth is kind of around a 0.7 right now. We don't really even know how to harness all the power on our planet yet. I like to explain this as just a way of understanding, like, the Earth is currently kind of, have you guys ever heard of the zoo hypothesis? So the zoo hypothesis is just that the reason why we're not in touch with anyone right now is because there are intelligent species that are currently, like, let them be in their natural habitat. We don't want to get them into any we don't want to infect them with our manipulations. We want to see how they evolve and stuff. Also, it's the reason why there's a cage around it too is because Earth needs to do something to unlock a connection to them, and what they need to do is potentially do something like teleport or find world peace or get to the next star. And if you do that, then you move on. This is a funny little comic. Last month they were lobotomizing pumpkins. Now they're shoving bread up a turkey's ass. This planet has issues, Bert. So that just gives you a general idea of it. Are we in a computer simulation? Are we not? Do we know? I think therefore I am, but who knows? And I'd just like to end by talking about how important it is to really dive deep into understanding the world around us and teaching other kids to understand the world around us from a young age, and understanding where we came from, who we are, and where we're going. That's it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Sorry, it's a content.
Well, I would say that probably 50% of what I talked about is just the culmination of what we hypothesize about the past. And it's just really difficult. That's why I mentioned that language is one of the most studied and understood